before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the seas? And how many years can some people exist before they are allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Well, good morning. Yes, the answer, I think, is blowing in the wind. We look as if we've got a little bit of a problem here this morning, a little bit of a lag, and why that happens I have no idea, but I think it's all to do with this, so we'll remove it, and perhaps that'll... How's that? Is that any better? Not really, and one never knows why. One never knows why. The mysteries of the internet. But that song, or at least the lyrics to the song by Bob Dylan, very poignant at this particular time, as the war in Ukraine increases. The jaw increases. The war increases. Is there a correlation? One wonders. Our leaders, particularly Boris, has been urged by some to take a much tougher stand than just sanctions. Since it's getting towards a nuclear situation, one wonders whether in fact that is the wise way to go. Let's see what the newspapers are saying in a minute. In fact, let's see what they're saying now. The worst is yet to come. And it reflects the fact that the French President Macron he give him credit. He keeps up a bombardment on Moscow to talk. He doesn't always talk to the right people, but at least he does talk. And let's adjust the camera a little bit. And he believes that we're well on the way to seeing some nasty stuff, nastier than we have already. The Daily Telegraph. Putin's chilling warning. The worst is yet to come. This man is not only not backing down, but he's escalating what he's doing. And in a world really that has got fat and sassy and didn't think anything like this could happen, it still wants peace. We are, or can be, a deadly species, but we're not murderers. In the main, we're not murderers. We don't eat our own, or at least we don't cannibalize, but we do murder. And we have a word when we murder our own en masse, and it's called genocide. And Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, has been accused of genocide. There have been calls from our own government, from our own Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, that when this is all over, if it's all over, he should be charged with war crimes. What's happening at the moment is being likened to what happened in Federal Germany in the 1930s, and that broke out in hostilities in 1939. The same aggression, the same viewpoint, the same annihilation, the same genocide. The Daily Mail. Who will rid the world of this ranting madman? Well, once again, I know just from a little scrap of knowledge gained personally while I was in Moscow that Putin is very, very careful about how and where he appears in public. He's very, very careful about how his family are exposed. He's very, very careful in making sure that any opposition cannot get to him physically. So, who will rid the world of this ranting madman? It will have to be a Day of the Jackal type character. Well briefed, well financed, well sorted. The Times. Putin vows total victory. Total victory. So he wants to destroy the anti-Russian West. Now, my reading of that, and it would appear that the Times reading of that, is that he doesn't just mean Ukraine. He's now beginning to make threats against us, and he thinks that we won't use any sort of deterrent. His troops have taken a nuclear plant in Ukraine. They've used nuclear missiles. He has only got one step now to the ultimate, and that is to use the bomb. Is he Dr. Strangelove? Is he power mad? Who knows what's going on in the mind of the man? All I can tell you is that I think that we all misread the signs. We all misread where President Putin stands on the use of armed force, on the use to some extent of terror, but certainly how far he will go in the use of arms. The Daily Express, in God's name, Putin, stop the suffering. And it shows how cities now, as his troops, by sheer force of numbers, are overcoming the Ukrainians who are putting up a brilliant resistance. That ordinary citizens are being destroyed. Over 1 million people have managed apparently to get out of Ukraine. It's a big, big country. Not a huge population, I think only 40 million. You say, well, that's not very many. No, well, for the size of the country, it's not, when you consider we're 60 some odd million. The Mirror. Talk to me. And Zelensky wants a face-to-face meeting with Putin. And the thing that Putin keeps offering is, yes, we'll go to China or we'll go to Belarus. Both sides are friendly to him. An atmosphere that would not be neutral. And any attempt whatsoever of any country so far to say you can use us as a neutral country, and we are reasonably neutral, has been turned down. Talk to me. This man is not for talking. What was it? The lady's not for turning. He's not for turning. The man is not for talking. He uses muscle. And we think that talk will outdo that. Will it? Can it? Might it? It is very, very difficult to say. Very difficult to say. Because this man reflects a certain thinking in Russia. Not total. There are lots of demonstrations in the streets. Not well reflected by their media or ours. One of the satellites of the old Soviet Union Romania had a dictator called Ceausescu in charge. Ceausescu was a vicious dictator. Prisons and executions, by which he died himself eventually, were quite common and a tool to be used as far as he was concerned. But the one thing that he did do is he managed to make sure that what was happening in Romania did not seep out into the outer world, and that what was happening in a modernizing Europe did not seep in to his people. And totalitarian states, which really, despite the fact it has an election, Russia has become, it is a totalitarian state, are very, very good at managing information. And that's why, for the life of me, I do not understand why we don't pay more attention to media in this country. All we do is we echo that stupid phrase, it's all the fault of the media. Well, that's easy, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Take them away and see whose fault it is. Yes, sir. The Guardian, Putin prompts fears of the worst to come in Ukraine. If he wins the battle tomorrow and takes over the country, has he got some other things in mind? Are we going to see a return in Europe to concentration camps? Are we going to see a return to people being eradicated for what they believe, what they stand for, or what their nationality is? The mentality of somebody who is KGB, lives in a particular bubble and believes in violence, knows no bounds once the leash is unleashed. And we haven't put the leash on. His own people haven't put the leash on. He is a loose cannon and a lone wolf. The Sun. Putin is the extreme gangster. Indeed, the headlines reflect the fact that he is not behaving in any sort of honourable way. A Geneva Convention means nothing. We've had leaders like that before, and before they're stopped, Pol Pot, Madam Chow, Madam Chang, Hitler, Stalin. Millions die before they are found out and they are stopped. How many millions are going to die on this one? Because those people in the past were gangsters and were treated as such after they had died. Very interesting that Oliver Cromwell, who was the Lord Protector of England for about 7 years, in other words, nominally he was king, had the rights of king. We don't know where his body is because it was thrown into a rubbish heap after he was overthrown, or at least after royalty returned. That's how these people end up. But in the meantime, a lot of damage is done. Financial Times, they're trying to wipe this city off the face of the earth. And they're talking eventually about Kiev. The Metro, the London paper, 1 million refugees in a week. That is a human disaster. And I'm happy to say that the people of Lewis have accepted without murmur that we will need to take some of these refugees ourselves, as long as the whole refugee issue is not treated emotionally, but is treated practically. Then we should get behind it and support it. The Daily Star. Full kit plonker. Yes, we were sorely tempted, folks. And the Daily Star is saying that Chelsea player John Terry is Brands Abramovich a plonker for posting a picture of himself on social media with the club's outgoing owner. I think we've got to be very careful that we don't start witch hunts. That demeans us. It is not a good thing. And those are the reflections of the front pages. I'm going to try again to see if we can do some music that might show us.
Imagine there's no heaven. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say, I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say, I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine all the people living for today.
Plenty of words. I wish I could have played the music. I wish I could have sung the words. But the issue is far too serious and needs bringing to everybody's attention. The world is ablaze. We should have seen it coming. Some of us did see it coming. We've acted too late. But now perhaps the might of economic activity and the power of the spoken word, if we haven't actually managed to damage it beyond all recognition, perhaps it will prevail. Perhaps it can stop the enemy who has burst through the gates, burst through the outer gates, and now says he's ready to take on the inner gates. So all of us need to be fearful. A last look at the newspaper headlines again. The worst is yet to come from the Eye. Putin's chilling warning. Worse is yet to come. The Daily Telegraph. The Daily Mail. Who'll rid the world of this ranting madman? The Times. Putin vows total victory. Daily Express. In God's name, Putin, stop the suffering. The Mirror. Talk to me. Is asking that the president of Ukraine can have a face-to-face with Putin. The Guardian. Putin prompts fears of the worst to come in Ukraine. The Sun. Extreme gangster. Putin is an extreme gangster. The Financial Times. They're trying to wipe this city off the face of the earth. The Metro. 1 million refugees in a week. The Star. Full kit plonker. I think you get the message from the newspapers this morning. And it seems to be getting worse. Welcome to a new dawn. I can only really say, I think, toodle pip. Outside, a modest breeze, a modest temperature of about 12 at the most, a modest chance of rain later on today. All in all, a modest day. If only we had in it a modest eastern